I'm Rita Ismail. Thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister, the Governor General, and small number of war veterans gathered at the War Memorial in Ottawa today to mark Remembrance Day. This year's event was open to the public with COVID measures in effect, unlike the 2020 virtual Day of Remembrance. CTV's Glenn McGregor reports.
The ranks of those who fought for Canada grow thinner every year. Only a few dozen gathering again at the National War Memorial in person after last year's virtual Day of Remembrance. Seated at social distance to guard against a different kind of enemy still taking lives around the world. The Prime Minister arrived 11 minutes behind schedule because of a security issue, a suspicious package found near the memorial. Police investigated. It turned out not to be a threat. The delay caused the interruption of a moment of silence to announce another arrival.
Arriving now is Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Mary May Simon, Governor General of Canada.
Among those coming to express thanks, some who didn't wear the uniform but still stood with Canadians in battle, like Mariam Sahar, who served as an interpreter in Afghanistan before coming to Canada.
They are making your life better, and that's the reason I participate in the Remembrance Day, to show my gratitude to these honorable and brave people who sacrifice so much to make sure we live in a peaceful and safe world.
The cost of that sacrifice in a country still in strife, well known to Canada's top soldier.
We did everything that we were asked to do, and we served with honor. We gave the country time. We gave the people of Afghanistan time. But regardless, part of our soul is still in that country, and it deeply pains us to see what has happened there.
The lives lost in Afghanistan were marked by the choice of this year's Silver Cross mother. José Simard's daughter, Karine Blay, was killed by a roadside bomb near Kandahar in 2009, just 21 years old. The sounds are mostly the same heard at ceremonies held every year since the Great War. But many observed a newer tradition, leaving their own silent symbols of thanks on the tomb of the unknown soldier. Glenn McGregor, CTV News, Ottawa.
Now, it is a day to remember sacrifice and service. Despite COVID-19 restrictions, a large number of Londoners attended the annual Remembrance Day service in Victoria Park. CTV's Sean Irvin reports.
A traditional tribute to the fallen in a very non-traditional time. For the second year, London's Remembrance Day ceremony was limited by COVID-19, leaving many to watch the service online through CTV London cameras. But others, like Mike Hancock, stood behind barriers to honor his father at the cenotaph.
He was in the RAF, Royal Air Force, flew on a Sunderland in Southeast Asia. There's his flight crew on the back.
You bring him here today. You represent
Every day I think of him.
Similar thoughts are shared by those on these white buses surrounding the cenotaph. Inside, men and women who now call London's Veterans Hospital home, years after their military service.
It's an emotional day, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, there's so many people who didn't come back.
It is a fact vividly shown each year as Silver Cross mother Carolyn Wilson places the first wreath. Her son, Trooper Mark Wilson, was killed in action in Afghanistan in 2006. 15 years later, the return of the Taliban to Afghanistan is difficult for younger veterans who came home. That's why the Anglican bishop to the Canadian Armed Forces contends public support for them is vital.
This is the first Remembrance Day after the collapse of the government in Afghanistan. And so the losses we suffered are going to have, I think, a peculiar poignancy this year.
The statement is true for Sergeant Jeff Wybo of London. He is a veteran of 2 tours of Afghanistan.
Definitely the summer was full of emotion, so hopefully today a little bit of closure and everybody can kind of get together again.
And while this day is tough for veterans young and old, Sergeant Wybo says it's also therapeutic to see public support.
While you're overseas, it can kind of give you the boost knowing that this is the support back in Canada, regardless of what mission we're on. We're really happy that the public really backs us.
And from those who have left us to today's soldiers on the ground, this service displayed that Londoners do respect the sacrifices of those who serve. Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Now, if you didn't have a chance to see the cenotaph service from Victoria Park, we have it online at ctvnewslondon.ca. And while it was invite only to London's cenotaph today, Remembrance Day ceremonies across most of the region were open to the public. In Wingham, a crowd of roughly 200 people turned out to show their respect to the community's war dead. Most were wearing masks and distancing. Wingham is one of only a handful in our area who had to add a name to their cenotaph. Following the war in Afghanistan, Corporal Matthew Dinning was killed in 2006 in Afghanistan after an IED blew up in the vehicle he was traveling in.